Attention. I told you, all of my critics, I told you all that I was the greatest of all time. Never again defeat me.
Make sure y'all stay on point with the Puncher's Point. What is good, y'all? Welcome back to the Puncher's Point. Oleksandr Usyk has now a very, very good and strong argument for the greatest heavyweight of all time. I've said it right there. Oleksandr Usyk defeats Daniel Dubois again, and again by knockout in the fifth round. Now, overall, if you go back to the prediction episode I did with Anthony, Anthony predicted a knockout. He predicted it happening late, but regardless, shout out to him because he got it correctly. I thought this was going to go by decision. I thought we were going to see a better Dubois. I thought that Dubois was going to go in there, use some tools and some strengths. I thought he was going to push it the distance, but either way, I thought Usyk was going to win. I just didn't think it was going to happen by knockout, and I especially didn't think it was going to happen in the fifth round. But overall, Oleksandr Usyk is continuing to prove that he's up here and everybody else is just way far below him. I mean, the gap from Usyk to the second best is crazy. And it's hard to find a heavyweight today, as of right now, that I can honestly say is better than Oleksandr Usyk, especially when you've lapped some of the best heavyweights in that division. You've lapped Tyson Fury. You lapped Anthony Joshua. You lapped Daniel Dubois. I mean, there's only so many challenges left for Oleksandr Usyk to face. And at 38 years old, he's still pushing. He's still going. And according to him, 38 is young and it's only getting started. So who knows what's going to happen in the future. But it seems like, I will say this, it seems like Anthony was right. It seems like it is kind of taking a toll on him because after the fight, when the interviewer was asking him what's next, he was like, I want to go home. And I feel like after battling Tyson Fury twice and Daniel Dubois twice, I feel like from there, I feel like I feel like he deserved a break. You know, I feel like he deserves to take some time off and go spend it with his family. Now, overall, we're here to talk about this fight. We're here to talk about the strategy, the excitement. We're here to talk about the stakes and overall the impact that it has on boxing. So we're gonna kick right into it. Strategy. What I liked about Oleksandr Usyk was I liked how he stayed on the outside. He didn't get greedy, but what I also liked about him is he was giving Daniel Dubois receipts. It seemed like every single time Daniel Dubois would throw a power punch, Usyk would follow right back with one of his own. He would just follow back with one of his own, and overall, you could tell that that was backing up Daniel Dubois. Look, we said it before. Besides Daniel Dubois, he hasn't had a knockout in the heavyweight division. But when it came to Daniel Dubois, he has his number right there. And on top of that, even though he hasn't knocked out guys in the heavyweight division, he's still got power. I mean, he still packs a punch regardless. So he is a very dangerous opponent and he is a very tricky opponent for anybody that he fights. So the truth of the matter is this. The truth of the matter is Oleksandr Usyk, he's got power behind that punch. And there's not many weaknesses when it comes to Oleksandr Usyk. You really can't pick him apart. Now, again, the one thing about Oleksandr Usyk, I liked how every single time Daniel Dubois would throw that straight, I liked how he would slip a straight under Daniel Dubois and he would catch him with that jab. And it seemed like every single time he was catching Daniel Dubois, and I would back him up as well. I like how he would basically he was moving around. He was doing everything that we expect Usyk to do. He was moving around. He was popping him with straights. He was basically being elusive. Daniel Dubois, he didn't have an answer for Oleksandr Usyk the first time. He didn't have an answer for him the second time. Now, as far as the things that Daniel Dubois did well, look, I'm not going to say Daniel Dubois had a terrible strategy. He came in there unprepared. I don't think he came in there at his best. I'm going to be honest. I don't think he came in there at his best. But what I will say is this. Daniel Dubois, he had the right thing in mind. See, me and Anthony, we had different perspectives on how Daniel Dubois was going to win this fight. And I think both of our perspectives backfired. See, me, I thought it would be stay on the outside. But the problem is when you're staying on the outside, you're too conservative. When we watched Daniel Dubois stay on the outside, I think the jab was working for him relatively well. But the problem was when you stay on the outside, you're giving Oleksandr Usyk more time to think. And I don't think that worked out in his favor. Anthony said you take a risk, and to his credit, he was right. When you take that risk, you're taking a risk of getting knocked out, but he felt like that's the only way you can defeat Oleksandr Usyk. Now we know that even if you go into the inside, that's still not the best way to defeat Oleksandr Usyk. Let's not get it mistaken. Daniel Dubois had 22 wins with 21 knockouts. So when you go back and you look at it, Daniel Dubois is a knockout artist, and you think that him going to the inside and putting that pressure on Oleksandr Usyk, you think that would help, but it didn't. See, what happened was he would continue to overreach, trying to get to the inside, and Usyk would just slip out the way and hit him with a counter. As a matter of fact, he hits him first with the right hook and he knocks him down. That's a counter right hook. And then the second time around, he hits him with the counter left hook and he gets him down. So overall, I feel like going to the inside and taking that risk against Usyk is not the best idea. I don't think that's the best idea, knowing that Usyk does have the power to put somebody away if you give him the opportunity to. And I don't think staying on the outside is the best idea for him either. I think the problem with that is you're giving him more time to think and more times to move out the way. So overall, it's going to be really hard to find a good game plan on how to defeat Oleksandr Usyk. I'm not sure if the body is still a weakness or not. There was one time where he hit on the body, and I will say that one was a little bit low, and the ref didn't need to get involved. I was expecting the next ref to basically go over what is a body shot and what's not after the controversies of the first fight. You see, even though we know what a body shot is, it's the ref's job to point to the area where it would be low, and he did not do that. He just told him, "Hey, touch gloves," and that was it. So I didn't have a lot of hope for this ref. However, what I will say is, besides that one body shot, I don't think Daniel Dubois did a good job of targeting to the body. And I think a part of that was on Usyk's strategy because Usyk did a very good job of moving out the way and moving out of harm's way to where his body couldn't be touched. So as far as the weakness being his body, that's still undetermined. That's still questionable because we didn't see much of it there. But overall, I mean, I think Usyk had a great strategy. I'm not going to say Daniel Dubois didn't. I just didn't think that his strategy worked in this case. So I guess you could say it was a bad strategy, but no matter who steps in front of Oleksandr Usyk, it seems like it's a bad strategy regardless because he's constantly doing a good job of basically taking away his opponent's best strengths. I thought that Daniel Dubois did a very good job of being the aggressor and pushing forward. I thought he had some moments where he would push Usyk up against the ropes and get him into the corner. I feel like he should have took advantage more of those opportunities. I know he got hit with a counter punch and that knocked him down, but in those cases when you got Usyk in the corner or in the ropes, I think you should take advantage of that. I think that the problem with Dubois was the fact that his footwork can't equal Usyk's. I mean, his Usyk's greatest strength is his footwork, and as long as he got that footwork, Usyk's going to continue to be a threat. And I feel like because Daniel Dubois couldn't match that, I feel like that was a problem for Daniel Dubois. So I'm not going to necessarily point to the strategy of Daniel Dubois as the reason why he lost. I'm going to point to the fact that his skills just didn't match Oleksandr Usyk's. There's a skill gap there, and I think that Oleksandr Usyk proved that. So, as far as strategy, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I'm going to give it a 7. Now, with that being said, we're going to go straight to excitement. I thought it was a relatively exciting fight for as long as it lasted. Now, if you ask me, was it back and forth? Now, a lot of people felt like Usyk was up 3 rounds to 1, maybe 4 rounds to 0. I'm not going to lie to you. I had a 2-2 even. See, everybody kept talking about Usyk winning the first round. I thought Dubois won the first round. The reason why I say that is because I thought Dubois was pushing the pace and the pressure. I know Usyk had a few jabs and he would connect with a few jabs, but if we're talking about power punches, I feel like Dubois' punches meant more in that first round than Usyk's jab. So I gave the first round to Dubois, and then the second round I gave to Usyk, third round I gave to Dubois, and then the fourth round I gave to Usyk, and obviously the fifth round happened, and that's when Usyk had his 2 knockdowns, so that's a 10-7 round regardless. But when I go back and I look at it, it was an exciting fight. I will say, I do think that if we were going to go to 12 rounds, it would have been more exciting because it was short lived. I don't think it got the most out of the excitement that it could have been. But overall, I mean, it had the 2 knockdowns, so we got to put those into effect. And it was a back and forth fight. So I do think it was relatively exciting. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna give it a 7.5. I'm gonna give it a 7.5. I feel like because it didn't last as long and it was gonna get to that point, if it got longer, I feel like it would have been maybe a little bit more competitive. Maybe Usyk would have took over, who knows? But I feel like if it was longer, it would have been a more exciting fight. But because it only lasted 5 rounds, it didn't get to the potential of it being an exciting fight or an all-time fight. So I'm gonna give it a 7.5. So now we talk about the stakes. What was on the line? Well, you sold out Wembley, which has over 90,000 seats. So overall, there's that. The Undisputed Heavyweight Championship is on the line. Usyk would have remained a one-time Undisputed Champion if IBF didn't get into the nonsense that they did. There was no reason to strip him of his belt, and there was no reason for Dubois and Joshua to fight for that belt, Dubois win the belt, and then just give it back to Usyk regardless. We see this too many times with the IBF, and it's my call to Daryl Peoples and the IBF to cut the shenanigans, all right? Stop stripping these guys of their belts because they don't want to fight the mandatories that you want them to fight. Just stop it. Okay, I get if they don't fight for over a year, which that has happened in boxing where there's a champion for over a year, he hasn't fight. I get if they don't fight in over a year. Yes, I understand that. Strip them. But Alexander Usyk, he remained busy. He remained fighting the best, and that should have been enough to where he can keep his IBF championship. But no, we had to go and strip him of it, give it to Daniel Dubois, and then basically give it back to Usyk. It makes no sense. So now you know what? I will say this. He's a two-time undisputed heavyweight champion, and I do give him the credit for that, but it's not like a, in a way, two-time undisputed. Technically, if we're going to be honest, actually, I lied. He's now a three-time undisputed champion. So that's history in itself right there. There's never been a three-time undisputed champion in the four-belt era, so we got to give him credit there. So I don't want to take anything away from Usyk because of what the IBF did. So I will count it. I also think that going up against Dubois again, I do feel like a lot of people expected you to win, so I feel like that kind of lowers it a little bit as well. But regardless, you know what? I'm gonna give the stakes an 8. I think it deserves an 8. Actually, I'm gonna give it an 8.5. I think the stakes deserve an 8.5 because you're a three-time undisputed champion. You fought in front of 90,000 people at Wembley Stadium. And overall, you proved again that you are the best heavyweight and you're not slowing down anytime soon. So I'm gonna give the stakes an 8.5. And then last but not least, impact. Well, how does this impact the sport of boxing? Well, I believe that as of right now, until Bud and Canelo fight, I do believe that he secured his number one pound for pound status. So there's that. I do believe that he's proven that he is easily the best heavyweight in this division. It's going to take a whole new group of challengers to step up, and it's going to take somebody to find the right game plan to beat him. So there's that. I do feel like as of right now, Oleksandr Usyk might be head and shoulders above most of these boxers. I mean, the only two guys within his vicinity that I think is even relatively close to his greatness is Bud and Inoue, and Canelo, obviously. But overall, I do feel like the impact in boxing, I feel like Usyk has lapped those heavyweights, he's kind of running out of challenges. And we're going to talk about who I want him to fight next. But overall, I feel like the impact, I feel like as of right now, it's kind of on a hole. I feel like he clearly proved himself as the number one pound for pound fighter, but I feel like as of right now, his impact's on a hole. So for me, I'm gonna give it an 8. And then when you do the math, this fight overall this fight's overall grade is going to be a 7.75. Now that's pretty high on the list, but it's not number one on season 5. So overall, it's still a good grade. And hopefully the next fight that Alexander Usyk has, I hope that Usyk gets another challenge. I hope that he gets somebody that could actually challenge him. So with that being said, who's going to be that guy to actually challenge him? Well, he listed off some names. He listed Tyson Fury. And to that, I got to give a big ol' no. You
Nope.
beat Tyson Fury twice. I ain't trying to see it again. Then he mentioned Anthony Joshua. And to that, I got to say, no,
Nope.
because you beat him twice too, and he's coming off of a knockout loss to the guy that you knocked out in the 5th round. I'm not having it. Talked about Derek Chisora, and to that I say absolutely not, because Derek
Nope.
Chisora is way out of his prime. So, with that being said, there's one guy who I believe deserves a title shot, and his name is Joseph Parker. Joseph Parker needs to be next in line. And the reason why I say that is because Joseph Parker has been upsetting everybody's favorites. I mean, we go back and we look. Joseph Parker defeated Deontay Wilder in a fight that mattered and wasn't very important for Wilder to secure that fight with Joshua. He beats Deontay Wilder. Then all of a sudden, he was supposed to fight Daniel Dubois for the IBF championship, and something happened where Daniel Dubois couldn't compete. So he goes up against Bacoli, who is a very, very dangerous fighter to fight in less than a week's notice. That is a very dangerous fight. But you know what? He went in there and he knocked out the knockout artist in 2 rounds. I'm just saying this right now. Joseph Parker has continued to prove everybody wrong. I'm not saying he's going to go out there and beat Usyk, but what I am saying is this. Usyk needs a new challenge, and we've seen him go up against power punchers, guys like Tyson Fury, guys like Anthony Joshua, guys like Daniel Dubois, Derek Chisora, guys who are known to knock people out. Have we seen him in the heavyweight division go up against a true technical boxer? I think that now nobody's as technical as Usyk, and nobody is as good as a pure boxer as Usyk in the heavyweight division. But what I will say is Joseph Parker, in my opinion, I do believe that he's got the tools to potentially pull an upset. I'm not saying he's going to do it, but I do think that Joseph Parker is a great fighter. I do think he is a good fighter. I do believe he's been waiting very, very long for that shot to come. And I think Joseph Parker has been proving it time and time again that he's next in line. So I think that we got to give Joseph Parker his flowers. We got to give him the title shot that he deserves. And I need to see Usyk versus Parker. Now, let's suppose you can't make that fight happen. I think the only other exception would be Cabello, Ajit Cabello. I think he's been doing very good. I think he's been climbing the rankings pretty fast, and I would like to see him up next. But overall, we're gonna have to wait to see what happens. And then there's a whole future of heavyweights that are gonna come in. Obviously, we talk about when you really look at it, I think that the next future of the heavyweights is Moses Utama, and I think he's going to be the next one up in line. I'm not saying he's going to be the next guy to get a heavyweight title shot as of right now, but give it a few years. If Usyk's still in this division, that's going to be his next challenge. But overall, I do believe the number one option as of right now for Usyk to face next would be Joseph Parker. But I do believe as well that Usyk deserves time to spend with his family and to take a little bit of a break. I mean, he's absolutely been carrying the heavyweight division. He's been doing an amazing job. He's been going after great after great. He's been taking down mountain after mountain. He's been passing test after test. And in my opinion, I do believe that Oleksandr Usyk is the best heavyweight right now, and he's got a really good argument to be the best heavyweight of all time. But overall, again, we're gonna have to see what's next with Oleksandr Usyk, and I do believe that he's not slowing down anytime soon. I do believe that he might have another 4 to 5 years left in him as well. So we're just gonna have to wait. But overall, if y'all like this content, make sure y'all continue to tune into the content. Make sure y'all go back and look at the prediction episode. Let us know how we did. Let us know how me and Anthony did with determining this fight, predicting this fight, the skill breakdown, everything like that. Let us know how we did. But overall, make sure y'all continue to tune into the other prediction episodes, the other post-fight episodes that are going to be released on this busy, busy boxing weekend. Make sure y'all continue to tune into the Puncher's Point social medias, the podcast. And last but not least, we're going to keep on coming. We're going to keep on giving y'all the best content we possibly can. I'm telling you, the Puncher's Point is the future. So with that being said, make sure y'all stay on point with the Puncher's Point.